Lin Hao, you are useless and you are secretly hiding from here. Why are you hiding here? If you don't go to the fields, just wait to get tired of your stomach at night. The old drama at the entrance of the village put his head on his waist, roaring at me with disdain, and his saliva was almost sprayed on my face. I lowered my head and lifted the firewood that fell off the ground, without saying a word, and my heart felt as hard as being scraped by a knife. I heard these two words, waiting for chai. From small to adulthood, no one in the village respects me. I am born to be useless and I can't even learn the simplest magic. On this magical land, without magic is equivalent to a waste. My parents have long been gone, and they have been living to this day with the help of the village, but they have been worse than dogs in this life. Hey, Uncle Lou, don't talk to this kid. He is just a drag. It's useless to feed him in the village. Several young people came over there, and there was no good words in their mouths, smiling as if they were looking at monkeys. I clenched my fists and gritted my teeth without saying a word. Reverse? Is it useful? They are many people, and I don't even have the chance to get some help, so I can only endure it. But the fire in my heart made my chest almost explode. Just as I was about to leave with firewood, a horse's hooves suddenly came from a distance, and the sound became closer and closer, and the ground was shaking. I looked up and saw that on the dirt road at the entrance of the village, a team of soldiers wearing iron armor were rushing towards us. The fat man with his head was wearing gorgeous clothes and full of flesh. He was not someone else, but Viscount Luo of Blackstone Fort, the leader of the precious tribe in this area. Everything is set up for me. Have you prepared the tax? If you drag it out, I will let the whole village see the Demon King. Viscount Luowen yelled at the moment, and the sound was like thunder, which made people's ears numb. When people in the village heard this, their faces changed and they kept their heads down and they didn't dare to say anything. The old Lu even felt soft in his calves, and he bent over and said, "Sir, taxes, we have already paid a little, and we can pay them immediately, don't worry." Has I sucked a little? I want everything. Viscount Luowen swung the whip and thrust hard on the old Lu's head, making a crisp sound. The old Lu was directly pulled to the ground, covering her shoulders and wailing. I stood aside, watching the villagers' fire in my heart become even more intense as they were scared to move. This helps the noble clan, relying on its own magical power, and the Demon King thrusts his waist and does not take us as human beings. The taxes are paid and then paid every year, and the people in the village are almost dying of fertility, and they still don't let us go. What are you looking at? Little Wu Chai, you want to slap it too, right? Viscount Luo's eyes swept on me, he sneered, raised his hand and whipped at me with a whip. I instinctively flashed, and the whip wiped my shoulders, and it hurt so much. I gritted my teeth, raised my head and stared at him, my brain full of anger. If you have the ability, you killed me, and bullied us these magical people, what are the abilities? Yeah, how dare you speak up? Viscount Luowen was stunned for a moment, and immediately burst into laughter, as if he had heard some big joke. Okay, today I will teach you what it means to be high and thick. After saying that, he swung his hand and several gallops along his body jumped off the horse and surrounded us. I felt nervous and said, "It's over, I'm going to be beaten up now." But at this moment, the sky suddenly darkened, as if something was pressing down. I looked up subconsciously and saw a dazzling light falling from the sky and smashing straight towards me. I couldn't react at all. The light hit my chest directly. My whole body seemed to be struck by lightning. I shook my body, and then fell to the ground, my mind blurred. What is this? Viscount Luo's voice was filled with a terror, and even the soldiers beside him stepped back a few steps, as if they had seen a ghost. I lay on the ground, feeling that my chest was burning, and I couldn't stand it. When I looked down, a golden mark appeared on my chest, like some ancient rune, emitting a faint light. At the same time, a low voice suddenly echoed in the brain, "Wake up, the chosen inheritor. Call the army of the sages to calm down all evil." As soon as the sound fell, my eyes suddenly became dark, and then a golden light flashed over, and the ground began to shake violently. The villagers were all stunned, and Viscount Luowen's face changed drastically, and he shouted, What kind of ghost thing is this? Hurry up, give it to me and kill this kid. But as soon as he left, a hole suddenly broke on the ground, and 5 warriors wearing silver armor walked out. They held long guns in their hands, their air was as strong as a rainbow, and the pressure radiated from their bodies made people breathless. A warrior in charge coldly glanced at Viscount Luowen and opened his mouth. "We are here by order of the inheritor. Who dares to harm our lord and kill him without forgiveness?" As soon as this happened, I was stunned. What? Inheritor? My lord? Is this what I'm telling about? But I hadn't reacted yet. The 5 warriors had already started to fight. They were as fast as ghosts. In the blink of an eye, they rushed to Viscount Roan's riders. With a long gun, several riders were directly provoked and could not get up without even being able to scream. What kind of monster is this? Viscount Luo's face turned pale in shock, and he hurriedly turned his head and wanted to run away, but the warrior in charge snorted coldly, his hands flashed, and a cold light flashed over. Viscount Luo's face fell down immediately, covering his legs and wailing. As I looked at the scene in front of me, my brain was still buzzing. This helps the warriors is actually too fierce. They can beat 10 soldiers with one person. They are not humans, but monsters. And they actually heard my order. "Master, please give an order." The warrior who was in charge turned over, knelt on his knees, and said respectfully to me. I swallowed, and my heart was both excited and confused. What's going on? Why did I suddenly become their masters as a waste? But watching Viscount Roan's helper be beaten and spilled, the fire in my heart finally spread. I stood up, gritted my teeth and pointed at Viscount Luowen. Beat him. Let him know what the hell is going to be bullying the people in our village. Abide by the order, the 5 warriors responded in a loud voice, and immediately turned around and walked towards Viscount Roan. The fat man was so scared that he crawled around and shouted, Don't kill me. I'm wrong, I will never dare again." But the warriors ignored him and kicked him a few big feet. Viscount Luowen was kicked for several meters and fell to the ground like a dead dog, and he couldn't move anymore. The villagers were all stunned when they saw this scene, and the old Lu was even more sarcastic, as if he had seen something incredible. "Lin Hao, how did you do it?" The old Lu asked me with a voice, his eyes filled with shock. I glanced at him and sneered in my heart. I was just now so scared. Now I know I am afraid? I ignored him and walked to Viscount Luowen, looked down at his fat face, gritted my teeth and said, "If you dare to come to our village to collect taxes in the future and bully us, I will let you die. Have you heard of it?" Yes. I never dared again." Viscount Luowen's head was all over his head, his face covered in cold sweat. I snorted coldly and turned to look at the 5 warriors, still feeling a little unbelievable. All this came too suddenly. How could I become an inheritor just like a waste? Can you still call out such awesome army? "Master, we are the pioneer team of the army. We are ordered to protect you and to calm all enemies." The warrior in charge opened his mouth again, his voice low and powerful, but the bigger test is still ahead, and the shadow of the devil's shadow has covered the vast land. You need to grow as quickly as possible and call a stronger army to fight against it. Demon King? I was shocked, and some blurry pictures suddenly flashed through my brain. It seemed that countless dark troops were raging, and there were wars and howlings everywhere in the mainland. The feeling of pressure made me unable to help but feel cold. "Boy, don't be stunned, come." At this moment, an old voice came from afar. When I turned around, I saw an old man wearing a broken cloak, leaning on a wooden stick, walking towards me. His eyes were as sharp as a knife, and as he swept over the golden mark on my chest, he showed a shock. "Who are you?" I looked at him with a stern eyebrow. The old man grinned and showed his yellow teeth. "My name is Carl, an old warrior. It seems that the transmission is true, and the chosen inheritor finally appears. Let's go, boy, you are busy next, and that's what we'll start." I looked at his face full of patterns, and there were a lot of doubts in my heart. But before I could ask, the 5 warriors had already stood behind me, as if they were ready to hear my orders at any time. Far away, Viscount Roan's cry continued, and the eyes of the villagers also changed from the ridicule of the past to the awe. I took a deep breath and the golden marks on my chest seemed to illuminate a little more. No matter what, I, Lin Hao, are ultimately no longer a waste. From today on, if anyone dares to look down on me again, I will make him regret being born in this world. And what devil king, since he dared to force us, I took this army to kill him to his lair, so that he could know what real fear is. I left the village with Old Car, and 5 silver warriors followed silently, their energy so strong that people dared not get close. People in the village looked at us far away, their eyes full of shock and fear, and even the old Luing didn't dare to say another word. I snorted coldly in my heart. These people just now made me feel scared. It's too late. Boy, don't be distracted. There's no time to make you stun next. Old Car walked in front, sounding sandy, and his steps were as stable as a mountain. He led me to a deserted forest outside the village, with shadows swaying, and the wind blew with a cold chill. Old man, what do you want to fuck me? Do you bring me to this broken place to fuck me? I couldn't help asking, the notes on my chest were hot, which made me feel a little uncomfortable. Carl stopped and turned over his head, his eyes sharp like a knife. If you want to survive and become stronger, just shut your mouth and listen. This mark is not a fun toy. It is the inheritor's logo. It can call out troops and drag you into the purity of endless disasters. Do you think those warriors are awesome just now? Tell you, this is the beginning, and the devil's minions will come to the door soon. If you don't learn to control this power, you will become a dead dog in the next second. I was stunned and my heart skipped a beat. The devil's minions? It's not something to deal with when you hear it. But I was dissatisfied and said with a stern face, what are you afraid of? I have this helping warrior, who will come and beat who? Natural. Carr sneered, and drew a circle on the ground with a wooden stick. What you can call now is just the pioneer team that conveys the army, with less than 1/10 of its strength. The devil's subordinates will lead you and you can crush your team to pieces. If you want to survive and take revenge, you have to unlock more troops. Do you understand? I gritted my teeth and didn't say anything. He said it right, and he was just happy to deal with Viscount Luowen, but I knew in my heart that this power was still far away. I have to become stronger, strong enough to trample those precious tribes and demon kings under my feet. Okay, teach me what to do. I clenched my fists and stared at Carl. He clicked his head and raised his hand to point the seal on my chest. This seal is the core of the inheritance. It can sense your will and call the army. But this is not for nothing. Every time you call, your body and spirit will be drained from the strength. If you don't use it well, you will collapse first. Come, try and feel its movements according to my method. I followed him, closed my eyes and felt the seal on my chest. The heat felt like it was alive, and it was irritated in my body, sometimes like a fire, sometimes like ice cream, making me sweat heavily. But slowly, I seemed to touch a little bit of the tunnel, and a golden light curtain appeared in my brain, and I could see the shadow of countless warriors. It was majestic, as if I could be pushed out at any time. That's it, concentrate and try to call a new warrior. Carl's voice sounded in my ears, shocking me like a beating. I bit my teeth and made the power urge. Suddenly, the mark on his chest lit up, a golden light flashed in front of him, and a hole broke open on the ground, and a warrior wearing black armor and holding a giant axe walked out. He was taller than the warriors of the pioneer team, and his body radiated a bloody killing, like a devil crawling out of the ground. Lord, the shadow warrior listens to the waiting time. The warrior knelt on his knees, his voice as low as thunder. I looked at him and felt ecstatic. This guy is much more powerful than the pioneer team at first glance. Old Carr also had a little head, showing a little satisfaction on his face. No, I can summon shadow warriors the first time, to show that you are still good at talent. But remember, this is just the beginning, and there are stronger troops waiting for you to unblock. However, the greater the power, the greater the price, and you have to hold it. I have a little hairiness in my heart. Price? It's not simple to hear. But I didn't think too much, because at this moment, a sudden rush of horse hoof sound came from afar, accompanied by a low roar, as if something was rushing towards us. Come! Car's face changed and he held the wooden stick. The devil's minions are faster than I expected. Boy, prepare for the battle. This is not something you can do. My heart was tightened and I turned around and saw that in the forest of trees far away, the soil was flying, and a team of black armored soldiers were running towards us. Their armor was full of strange runes, the horses' eyes were red, and they were wearing a tall army, wearing a half-iron mask on their faces, and carrying a huge blood-colored warrior in their hands, making people breathless. The inheritor? But he is a snatcher who just woke up. He dares to challenge the devil's majesty? Kill me! The iron face roared the army, and the sound was like thunder, which made my ears buzz. The black-armored trooper behind him accelerated, like a black torrent, directly rushing us toward us. Lord, it is our duty to protect you. The pioneer and the shadow warrior who had just called stood in front of me at the same time, with weapons in hand and no weak energy. But I can see that the number of people on the other side is more than 10 times that of ours, and this battle is not easy to fight. Boy, don't be stunned, concentrate, try to summon a few more warriors. Otherwise we will all be done. Carl roared, and a blue light appeared on the wooden stick in his hand, as if he was about to make a big move. I gritted my teeth, closed my eyes again, urging the power of the seal. This time it was even harder than it was, my chest hurt like I was torn, and I was trembling all over. But I can't be jealous and try my best to think about the shadows of those warriors. Finally, the golden light flashed again, the ground cracked, and 3 shadow warriors came out again. Although there were not many, they were still a little more stable. Go up! Let me hold them! I shouted and the warriors rushed up. The pioneer's long gun was like a dragon, and the shadow warrior's giant axe opened the mountain, and in the blink of an eye it collided with the black-armored rider. The sword light and the shadows were filled with air, and both sides fought to the sky and the earth were dark. But with a large number of people on the other side, the iron surface would leave even more fiercely. As soon as he continued, he smashed a pioneer and even cracked the armor. Waste! Is this the inheritor's army? It's not enough. The iron face sneered at the army, and after a war, he rushed towards me again. I felt a panic. The guy's atmosphere was so strong that my legs were a little soft. But at this moment, I suddenly heard a cold and angrily shout, "Change, don't touch him." As the voice fell, a red figure rushed out from the side, holding a long sword in his hand, piercing the iron surface to the back of the army. It was a young female warrior wearing red leather armor with long hair dancing. Her swordsman was as fast as a wind, forcing the iron face to turn around and squint. Ally? Carl was stunned and immediately replied, "You are so hot." Old man, just say nothing, help him. The female warrior named Ellie snorted coldly, and the sword was as bright as a rainbow. After several thrusts, she forced the iron surface to retreat a few steps. I looked at her and felt a little disgusted. Who is this woman? It seems that I know Car, and my strength is so strong. But I didn't have time to think too much, and the Lima commanded the warriors to fight back. With Ellie joining, we were always at peace, but the other party's black-armored soldiers were still coming like a tide, causing us to retreat. Boy, if we don't break through, we will all die. Car roared, with a flash of blue light in his hand and a thunder slashed down, directly exploding several black-armored soldiers. Use your will to feel the limits of the seal and force yourself. I bit my teeth tightly, and the pain in my chest almost suffocated me, but I knew I couldn't retreat now. I closed my eyes and exerted all my strength. There was only one thought in my brain: I want to become stronger, I want to protect myself and the people around me. Suddenly, a dazzling golden light burst out from the memorial. My whole body seemed to be hit by current, and a huge golden warrior appeared in the brain, causing countless warriors to touch the world. I suddenly opened my eyes and shouted, "Come out and tell the army." The ground was shaken violently, and more than a dozen new warriors were shot out from the crack. They were wearing golden armor and heavy shield spears, and their aura was several times stronger than the shadow warriors. As soon as they appeared, they directly formed an iron wall to fight the enemy, holding the black-armored soldiers tightly, and the long spear was blown, and blood was shining, and the enemy fell in pieces. Is this golden shield? Carl was stunned and laughed immediately. Good boy, I really didn't disappoint me when I called out this kind of army for the first time. The Iron Surface changed his face and roared, a bunch of sluts dares to stop me? He smashed the war and tried to break through the war, but the golden shield pattern wire was not moving, and he withstood his attack, pierced his shoulder with a spear, and blood was sprayed wildly. The army! The black-armored soldiers panicked and their soldiers fell sharply. Ellie seized the opportunity, and the long sword flickered and killed several people, forcing the enemy to have a big straight kill. No one left. I read my eyes, and the heat flowing in my chest made me feel excited. The Golden Shield and Shadow Warriors fought back, harvesting the enemy like mowing grass. The Iron Surface surrounded the troops in the center, supporting the left and right, and finally being pierced by Ellie's chest, and a roar of unwillingness to fall to the ground. At the end of the battle, the ground was covered with black-armored soldiers' bodies, and the air was filled with a heavy smell of blood. I gasped heavily, and the light of the marks on my chest dimmed. The whole person seemed to have been exhausted and almost sat on the ground. Fuck you well, boy. Ellie walked over, wiped the blood from the sword, and grinned me, my name is Ellie. I'll be with you in the future. How about it? I was stunned for a moment and immediately said, okay, with your strength, let's have fun together. Carl walked over and his face was not so relaxed. Don't be too excited too early. This Iron Surface will be just a small head under the Demon King's men, and the real horror is still behind. Do you know why the Demon King can govern the mainland? Because he is not a human, he is a monster that can swallow all things, and even his soul can crush it. His army is so large that it can flood the entire mainland. Today's battle is just an appetizer. My heart chills, and a vague fire scene appeared in my brain. Demon King, is it really that terrifying? But I clenched my fists. No matter what, I had to fuck me. Since I am the inheritor, I have to pull this monster off. At this moment, a low roar suddenly came from a distance, as if some giant roared, shaking the ground. When I turned around, I saw that the dark clouds in the sky were getting more and more intense, as if I wanted to swallow the entire world. Come, the next wave of minions of the Demon King. Carl gritted his teeth and held the wooden stick. Boy, are you ready? This time, it's not that good. I stood on a battlefield full of bloody smell, and the seals on my chest were still hurting. I just called the Golden Shield to make my whole body feel as if I had been drained and my calves were being slapped. But the low roar from afar was like a knife, penetrated straight into my heart, making me dare not relax. The black clouds in the sky became more and more dense, as if they were alive, rolling over and pressing towards us, and the air was filled with a sense of pressure that made people grow hair. Boy, don't be stunned. The next wave of Devil's minions are coming. Old Carl gritted his teeth, and the blue light on the wooden stick seemed to be ready to use his ultimate move at any time. His face is more difficult to see than just now. It seems that the guy who came this time is not a small character. Ellie wiped the blood on the sword, stood beside me, staring at the black cloud far away, and said coldly, Lin Hao, can you summon a few more warriors? With this momentum, I feel that the army is more than 10 times stronger than the Iron Surface just now. I gritted my teeth and tried to feel the marks in my chest, but after a moment of concentration, my brain felt as if it was pricked, and my eyes became dark. I held my knees and gasped, and smiled bitterly. No, I just summoned the Golden Shield and squeezed me dry. Now I'm going to come again. I guess I'll fall down first. Stop talking, we have to be strong even if we don't fight. Ellie glared at me, and the long sword was blown away, and the fighting spirit was not reduced at all. I don't believe how strong the Devil's leg can be. Old Carl snorted coldly and knocked on the wooden stick. Girl, don't show off. This time, most of the people are one of the core leaders of the Demon King. We have few people, and fighting hard is to seek death. Lin Hao, listen well. Now it's not the time to be tough, preserving strength is the key. If your seal is restored, it will be a rush to summon the order. Don't let yourself collapse. I sniffed my head, and I felt a little angry. Save the power? It's so easy to say that the enemy is almost on his face, and there is no place to hide. But I still stood up straight, clenched my fists, and yelled with the golden shield and the shadow warrior, "I'll hold you back. Who dares to take a step back? I'll kill him." As for the order, Lord, the warriors responded with a loud voice, forming an iron wall to fight the enemy, with heavy shields in front and long spears behind, and their air was as strong as rainbows. Although they had just experienced a war, the murderous aura on their bodies did not diminish at all, as if they could fight for another 300 rounds at any time. At this moment, the black cloud finally pressed our heads, and the ground far away began to shake violently, like thousands of troops and thousands of horses were rushing. I looked closely and saw a large army running towards us along the forest far away. Leading was a giant monster over 3 meters tall, wrapped in black and red armor, holding a giant knife that was taller than a human in his hand. The armor was full of strange runes. Every step on the ground was like an earthquake. The surrounding black armored soldiers followed him, with at least a few hundred. The iron surface that had just been crushed and pressed was about to fight 10 streets. He, inheritor. But he is a weak little crawler who dares to kill me, the devil's subordinates. The monster opened his mouth, and the sound seemed to be crawling out of the ground. The sand was harsh and shocked my ears to buzz. He stopped, and with a knife, the air was cut into pieces, and a black crack was cut, thrusting us straight into us. "Be careful!" Old Car roared, and the wooden stick hit the ground suddenly, and a blue light curtain rose instantly, barely slamming the crack, but the light curtain shattered in an instant. He also hummed and stepped back a few steps, his face as white as paper. "Old, you're fine." I felt nervous in my heart. I didn't expect that this monster would be so fierce with just one strike. Old Car slammed his hand and gritted his teeth and said, "I can't die, but this guy is one of the 3 leaders of the Demon King, named the Bloody Demon King. His strength is 100 times stronger than the Iron Face army. Don't fight hard, delay time, I'll think about it. Drag time? I don't have that patience." Ellie sneered, and the long sword snatched, and his body was as strong as a wind, and he rushed up directly. "Lin Hao, don't worry, go with me." "Damn, why are you so moved?" I shouted, but I had no choice but to force the golden shield and shadow warrior to follow. The blood demon will watch us rush over and make a strange laugh. The sword suddenly slammed, and a black-red sword rolled over like a dragon's wind. The heavy shield of the golden shield was torn apart in an instant, and the 2 warriors were directly chopped and fell to the ground, and their armor was broken. Waste. This is the saying of the army? It's not enough. Roll. Ellie gritted her teeth and slapped her long sword, but the force of the knife was too strong. She was shocked and fell to the ground and vomited a mouthful of blood, her face turned pale. I was shocked in my heart, and Lima shouted, "Golden shield, let me hold him." The remaining golden shields and erect horses formed a war plane, with long spears thorns, but the blood demon will not be serious at all. With a swipe of the sword, the war plane was directly broken, and the 3 golden shields were split into 2.5 on the field, with 4 blood fogs. I was so excited that this guy's strength was not a single file at all, and the pressure was not something we could withstand. "Boy, don't fight hard, back." Old Car yelled again, and a blue light burst out from the wooden stick, and a thunder fell from the sky, slashing the blood bolt's brain. But the monster just raised his hand and the thunder was shaken away directly. He sneered, "I'm immortal, dare you resist? Death me." Speaking, he slapped his knife and a black air rushed to Lao Call. The old man reluctantly lifted a light curtain, but he was still shocked and vomited blood and fell to the ground. I bit my teeth tightly, and the fire in my heart made me almost explode. "You can't retreat, you'll be done if you retreat." I closed my eyes and felt the marks on my chest as much as possible. Even if my brain seemed to be about to crack, I would call again. "Come out and help me fuck this monster." I roared angrily, a golden light burst out from the seal, and the ground cracked again. This time, it was not the warrior who walked out, but a figure wearing a golden robe and holding a staff. His body was surrounded by thunder and electricity, and his atmosphere was stronger than that of the golden shield, like a certain higher existence. "Master, the Thunder Master listens to the call," the figure said in a low voice, and with a blow of the staff, countless thunder and electricity roared out like a mad dragon, rushing to the bloody demon. The monster was hit by lightning, and finally roared, and black smoke appeared on its armor, which seemed to have eaten a little bit. "What a guy, the Thunder Magician has summoned me." Old Carr wiped the blood from his mouth and grinned, "Boy, you're pretty fucked. This guy is a monster who tells the military team's mid-level battle, a monster that specifies the dark attributes, and beat me hard." I gasped and felt like my whole body was almost exhausted, but I always felt a little warm in my heart. The Thunder Magician continued to release lightning, and combined with the remaining Golden Shield and Shadow Warriors, he forced the Blood Demon to retreat in the morning. But the opponent's black-armored soldiers were also rushed up at this time. There were too many, like a black torrent, surrounding our group. "Ally, can you hold it?" I shouted at her. She was gritting her teeth and quarreling with a few black-armored soldiers, and she had already suffered a lot of injuries. "Of course you can hold it up. You are dedicated to calling, don't be distracted." She didn't look back, and the longsword slammed and chopped down another enemy, but her movements obviously slowed down, and it was obviously almost limitless. I gritted my teeth, closed my eyes again, and tried to exert the last bit of strength. But the reflection on my chest was very weak this time, as if it was drying up all the time, and the stinging pain in my brain almost passed by. "It's over, I can't squeeze it out this time." At this moment, the Blood Demon will suddenly burst out with a roar, and the black air on his body stormed, carrying the attack of the Thunder Magician. The knife slashed straight down. The wizard was smashed and the thunder power was instantly extinguished. He walked towards me with a sneer and said, "Little crawler, do you use all your strength? Now, let me die." My heart slammed, and I watched the knife get closer and closer, and my legs are soft. But just as he was wearing a hair, Old Carr suddenly rushed in front of me, and the wooden stick suddenly penetrated the ground, and a dazzling blue light burst out, forming a huge shield, and slamming the attack of the knife. "Old man." I was surprised, and I didn't expect that he would have such a move. The shield shattered after only a few seconds. Old Carr was shaken and fell to the ground and could not move. The corners of his mouth were covered with blood. "Lin Hao, don't let me save you in vain. I'm trying to do something," he gasped, his voice so weak that he could hardly hear it. I was red and my brain was in chaos. "You can't die, you can't let them die in vain." I bit my lip and the smell of blood shocked me, and I forced myself to print the notes again. This time, my chest felt like it was torn, but a golden war scene suddenly appeared in my brain, and the roar of countless warriors seemed to be summoning me. "Give me, explode." I roared, the marks were shining vigorously, the ground was shaken violently, and dozens of new warriors were shot out from the cracks. They were wearing red armor and holding long flame guns in their hands. Their air was like a volcano erupting. As soon as they appeared, they directly slammed the black-armored soldiers. The guns were swept, and the flames were filled with 4 bulges, and the enemy fell in pieces. "This is the Flame Army?" Ellie was stunned and laughed immediately. "Lin Hao, you guys, you can do it, it's really a big deal for the key moment." The joining of the Flame Army directly reversed the battle. The long-range fire gun was invincible. The black armor Gallop was so burned that he was slapped with rats. The blood-blooded demon was forced to retreat, and the armor on his body began to melt. He roared and danced with swords, but the Flame Army had no chance to breathe at all. He cooperated with the Thunder Magician's thunderous thunder and forced him to put him in place. "Kill!" No one left. I read my eyes, the war was boiling, and I felt the blood in my body burning. The Flame Army was like a mower, and the enemy's squad collapsed suddenly. The Blood Demon will finally be unable to withstand it. With a roar, the black air on its body stormed, and it broke through the boundary and ran away. Want to run? No door. Ellie gritted her teeth, and the long sword was about to chase after her, but I grabbed her and said, "Don't chase, we're limiting, let him run." She glared at me unwillingly, but she didn't show off again. At the battle, the remaining black armored soldiers were crushed by the flame army. The ground was covered with charred bodies, and the air was filled with a heavy burnt smell. I held my knees and gasped heavily. The marks on my chest were almost so dark that I couldn't see them. The whole person seemed to have been squeezed dry with a drop of strength. Boy, is very fucked. Old Carl sat up nervously and grinned at me, summoning the flame army. Your talent is stronger than I thought. But this is just the beginning. The bloody demon will not die, and he will definitely go back to bring reinforcements. The core of the Demon King is not far away. We have to take over now and take his lair directly while he has not come. My heart was shocked and I raised my head to look at the black clouds far away. There, you can see a huge black castle, scattering an indescribable sense of pressure. The core point of the Demon King? It's not a good place to hear it, but I know that it's not a time to regress. Okay, let's go. Take advantage of this opportunity to give the Demon King a big one. I gritted my teeth, stood up straight, and my eyes were as firm as iron. The flame army and the remaining warriors stood behind me, their vigor was as strong as a rainbow, as if they were ready to fight again at any time. But just as we were about to show up, a black castle far away suddenly burst out from the sky, accompanied by a deafening roar, as if some terrifying existence was awakening. I felt a tightening in my heart, clenched my fists, and felt an unprecedented sense of pressure coming towards me. The black light bursting from the black castle far away was like a knife, penetrated hard into my heart. The roar was like a monster roaring deep in the ground, which made my ears buzz and my calves a little soft. I clenched my fists tightly, and although the marks on my chest were dim, the faint heat flow of the silk was still reminding me that I couldn't retreat, and if I retreated, it was all over. Lin Hao, don't be stunned. The black light is the signal of the Shadow Demon King. He knows we are here. Old Carr stood up and wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, his eyes were as sharp as a knife. The blood demon will definitely go back to report the letter. Now is the best time. While the Demon King has not completely summoned the army, we will kill him directly and take his lair. I gritted my teeth and said, "Okay, let's fight. Let's go now and pull that shadow demon off the horse." Although I was so harsh, I was still a little scared in my heart. The castle's atmosphere was so stressful that it seemed that it could swallow us in any time. Ellie wiped the blood on the sword and grinned me. "What are you afraid of? With the flame army here, who are we afraid of? Let's go, fuck him a lot." She was always so moved, but she had to say that her intention to fight was indeed a slander. The flame army, the golden shield, the shadow warrior, and the thunder magician, give me a whole team and prepare to set off. I yelled, and the remaining warriors quickly formed a war, with a rainbow of energy. Although they had just experienced the war, there was no fear in their eyes, as if they could kill them again at any time. We were heading towards the Black Castle, and the air along the way became colder and colder. The trees around us seemed to have been sucked into life by something, turning dry and twisted, and there were low roars everywhere, making people's skin numb. Old Carr walked in front, knocking on the ground with a wooden stick, and said in a low voice, "Boy, remember, the Shadow Demon King is not an ordinary opponent. He can devour the soul and control the power of darkness. It is more than 100 times stronger than the blood demon. You have to save your power and explode again at the critical moment, otherwise we have to explain it here." I clicked my head and silently calculated in my heart. Although the seal on my chest has not completely recovered, I can feel that as long as I give me a little more time, I can call out another wave of troops. The most important thing at the moment is to hold the Demon King up and give yourself a chance to breathe. After about half a minute of leaving, the Black Castle was finally in front of me. It was a giant fortress made of black stones. The city wall was full of strange runes, scattered with black air. Two huge stone monsters at the entrance of the city were covered with bloody mouths, as if they were alive, and could be swept down and tear us apart at any time. this place is really not something for people. Ellie muttered in a low voice, holding the long sword in her hand tighter. Don't waste your time, prepare for a fight. Old Carr snorted coldly, his wooden stick shook, and the blue light flashed, as if he could use his big move at any time. I took a deep breath, and the seals on my chest were intimately hot. Although they had not recovered completely, I knew that it was not the time to hide them. At this moment, a loud noise suddenly came out from the city gate, and a wave of black armored troops emerged from it, with a number of at least thousands, and the one that led was the blood demon who had just escaped. When he saw us, he sneered, "Little crawler, how dare you come to die? This time, my lord sits in the town, don't even want to run away. Stop talking, you ran away last time, I killed you this time." I gritted my teeth and pointed, "Firefighting army, I will rush this helping dog thing. As for orders, lord." The flame army roared angrily, and the flames shot into a sea of fire, directly shaking the black armored army. The two sides collided in an instant, and the flames and black air intertwined, killing the sky. The blood bolt demon will blow the sword, slash the flames and rush towards me, and its energy is even stronger than before. "Thundermaster, hold him!" I roared, and the Thundermaster's staff slashed, and countless thunderstorm erupted like a mad dragon, forcing the blood-fighting demon to stop and withstand the thunder attack. Ellie also seized the opportunity, and her long sword was like a wind, rushing into the enemy, and he picked up the bloody demon's lower three-way thorn, dragging him to the point where he could not move forward. "Boy, don't drag it, enter the castle. The Demon King is at the deepest point, solves him, everything is over." Old Carr roared, and a blue light burst out from the wooden stick, directly blew open a gap, and tear the shape of the black armored army. I gritted my teeth and rushed into the gap with the flame army and the golden shield, and went straight to the inside of the castle. The atmosphere in the castle was more stressful than outside, and there was a smell of decay in the air. The corridor was full of twisted stone statues, each of which seemed to be alive, staring at us with a tight look. My heart was filled with hair, but my steps didn't stop, and I ran all the way with the army, rushing straight to the deepest part of the castle. Finally, we came to a huge hall. In the middle of the hall, a huge figure in a long black robe sat upright on the throne, scattering her body with no black air, as if she could swallow all light. His face was hidden under his hood, and he could only see a pair of red eyes, like evil spirits in the ground, making people dare not look directly at it. "Shadow Demon." Old Carr said in a low voice, with a trembling sound, "Boy, this is your ultimate opponent, are you ready?" I swallowed, and my heart felt like a big stone was pressed down. The simplicity of this guy is not something that people can resist. Even the warriors of the flame army were a little uneasy, and the flames were darker. But I couldn't be so angry that I stood up with my head and shouted, "Shadow Demon King, I'll take your life today. I'll be still in debt after bullying the mainland for so many years. Ha ha, you dare to pick me?" The Shadow Demon King let out a low laugh, and the sound seemed to be coming from all directions, shaking my brain. He stood up slowly, and his black air stormed, turning into countless black touches, rushing us straight toward us. "Golden Shield, top! Flame Army, counterattack!" I yelled. The Golden Shield formed an iron wall war, holding the black air touch, the Flame Army speared and the flames rolled out like a dragon. But the Shadow Demon King's touch seemed to be in vain. The flames were swallowed as soon as they approached. The shields of the Golden Shield were corroded and the warriors fell one after another. Waste. Is this a military force? It's not enough to beat me in front of me. The Shadow Demon King sneered, and with a swept his hand, the ground of the hall suddenly cracked, and countless dark skulls crawled out of it, with a large number of dents, and rushed towards us like a tide. "Damn, can this guy still summon me?" Ally shouted, danced a long sword and chopped over several skeletons, but the number of the other party was too large, and in the blink of an eye we were covered in vain. "Boy, don't fight hard, concentrate, and call another wave of troops. Otherwise we will all have to explain this." Old Carr gritted his teeth, the blue light of the wooden stick burst into flames, and a clear space was forced to emerge, but his face was as white as paper, and it was obviously almost as limited. I bit my teeth tightly, and the marks on my chest were intimately painful, but I knew that it was the life and death that I could not retreat now. I closed my eyes and tried my best to make me feel strong. The golden battlefield appeared in my brain, and the roars of countless warriors sounded, as if to cheer me up. "Come out and help me fuck this monster." I roared angrily, and a dazzling golden light burst out from the seal. The ground shook violently, and dozens of warriors in silver and white armor were shot out from the crack. They held giant warriors and their bodies were scattered with sacred light, and their atmosphere was several times stronger than that of the Flame Army. "Lord, the Holy Light Knights group hears the call." "Fuck well." "The Santa Crown Riders group, clear the floor." I read my eyes and the war was in full swing. As soon as the Santa Light Riders appeared, the battle slammed out, the Santa Light rolled out like a wave, and the Dark Skull was illuminated and turned into gray in an instant, and even the Shadow Demon King's black touch was forced to retreat. Is this the Holy Light Riders group?" The Shadow Demon roared, and a shock flashed through the red eyes. "Little crawler, I didn't expect you to summon this kind of army, but do you think you can defeat me like this?" "Naive." Speaking, the darkness on his body burst again, turning into a huge spear of darkness, directly urging me. The Holy Light Riders group formed a war, and the Holy Light shield was held hard, but the power of the dark spear was too strong, and the shield shattered in an instant, and several knights were directly pierced and could not rise up. "Lin Hao, be careful." Ellie roared and rushed to me. She slapped the spear of the dark spear, but she was shocked and threw her mouthful of blood on the ground. "Allie." My heart was tightened, and the fire in my brain became even stronger. "You can't let them die in vain." I bit my lips, and the smell of blood stimulated me and urged me to mark again. Even if my chest seemed to be tearing apart, I would fight again. "Discover the troops and tell me that the troops are all out." I roared, and the light of the seal was bright, as if it had ignited the entire hall. The ground was shaken violently, and countless warriors were shot out from the cracks, including the flame guns of the Flame Army, the battle lights of the Santa Light Knights, the violent thunder power of the Thunder Wizard, and even a brand new army, the Storm Shooter holding a giant bow, and the arrows rolled out like a storm. "This is all the troops?" Old Carr was stunned and laughed immediately. "Boy, you are so good." He unraveled the whole picture of the troops for the first time. "Fuck me hard." It was said that the army's joint attacks, like the sky collapsed and the earth was broken, the Dark Skull was crushed to pieces, the Shadow Demon King's black touch was torn apart by the sacred light and thunder. His atmosphere was finally suppressed, and a roar of unwillingness came out. "How could you hurt me with these slugs? Hurry you! I'll kill you today." I red-eyed my eyes and rushed up with all the troops. The Flame Army lit up his defense line, the Holy Light Riders slammed his black air, the Storm Shooter's arrow pierced his armor directly, the Shadow Demon was forced to retreat in the daytime, and finally was hit in the chest by a wave of Holy Light war, and a shocking cry, the huge body fell to the ground, and the black air began to scatter and collapse. "Impossible. Why would I give a small crawler?" His voice became weaker and weaker, and the red eyes gradually darkened, and finally turned into a pile of black and gray, which completely dissipated. The hall fell into a dead silence, and the urgency in the air disappeared in an instant, as if the whole world had relaxed. I held my knees and gasped heavily. The marks on my chest were almost completely dark. The whole person seemed to have been drained from the last bit of force, and almost sat on the ground. Fucked. Ellie slammed and got up, looking at the pile of black and gray. She couldn't believe it. "It's okay, Shadow Demon King, it's finally over." Old Carr wiped the blood from his face and grinned. "Boy, you did it. Tell me the new leader of the army, it's worthy of his name." I looked at the warriors' bodies, and then at the wounded ally in Old Carr. My heart was filled with sensation. In this battle, the price we paid was too high, but finally we pulled this monster off the horse, and the pressure from the mainland was over. A few days later, in front of the ruins of the Black Castle, countless people gathered together. They came from all corners of the mainland, including civilians who were forced by the Demon King, troops who resisted the army, and even some precious tribes who had been loyal to the Demon King. They were all lowered their heads and their eyes were full of awe. Lin Hao, from today on, you are the new overlord of the mainland. Old Carr stood beside me, his voice low and powerful. Tell me that the master of the army, no one can challenge your position. I stood high, looking at the crowd below, and a feeling of indescribable sensation surged in my heart. From a wastewood that was ridiculed by the villagers to now governing the whole country, everything is like dreaming. But I know that this is not a dream, it was something I worked hard for. I've heard it. From now on, no one dares to bully you anymore. I shouted at the top of my voice, and the sound spreads through the entire ruins. Who dares not accept it? Who dares to cause trouble again? Tell me that the army will be on standby at any time and crush them. The crowd burst into tears, and the sound was like thunder, which made my ears numb. Ellie stood beside me and snatched my eyes. What do you think of the new overlord? There are some wars to fight in the future, so don't slack off. I grinned and patted her on the shoulder. What are you afraid of? With you in the military, who are here, who will come and beat who? Most of us belong to us, so who shouldn't want to take her away? As the sun sets westward, over the ruins, the flags of the army are celebrating the winds, the flames of the fiery army and the rays of the holy light riders, forming a dazzling scene. I clenched my fists and looked at this movie belonging to my vast land. There was only one thought in my heart: from today on, I, Lin Hao, will be the king of this land.